educational material in the form of tutorials, certifications, social posts, everything. So all the educational material is something that I work on. And we also have Sanjib with us, who's the actual motion master. So I think I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a motion master or not, but thank you so much, Nishi. Hi, everyone. My name is Sanjeev, and I'm from Kolkata. I work with LottieFiles as a senior motion designer, and my day-to-day work would be to create videos, motion design, to help the team with the product launches, everything that you see on social media, creating all of that. So yeah, today I'm very excited over here to be here and to share a few things about what LottieFiles is doing in the Figma, how you can create animation through Figma, and yeah, very excited.
Thank you so much, Sanjib. I've also added a small poll in the chat over here asking you if you could rate your Figma expertise on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. So even if it's a 1 or a 2 or a zero point 0.5, it's totally okay. The poll is just for fun so we can understand how to tailor the workshop. If there are all 4s and 5s, then we can just skip over all the basics and we can get straight to it. Wow, Ankush is a 4.6. All right. I'll let the poll keep coming in, but in the meanwhile, before we start creating our animations, I would like to begin with a very quick introduction about what is Lottie as a file format, and maybe talk a little bit about what Lottie Files is doing as well. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just keep the intro part very short because I know everybody must be excited to start creating animations. So first up, let's talk a little bit about Lottie as an animation file format itself. So a lot of animations that you see all around you used by one of like the big brands, they're all Lottie animations, and every brand uses Lottie in a different way. For example, Adobe uses it as a part of their product guides. All the animations that you see on product walkthroughs on Google, they're again all Lotties. Even the animated stickers that we normally share on Telegram are all Lottie as well. Something as small as your smartwatch by Samsung, all the animated, all the animations on the watch interface, they are all Lotties as well. And this is the reason why there are more than 14 million designers and developers from more than 280,000 companies that use Lotties and work with Lottie files. So if you look at the slide, you can see all the tech giants and all the famous popular brands using and working with Lottie files. And the reason for this being, I think since all of you are so well versed with Figma, and Ankush also said that most of you use Lottie on a day-to-day basis, which is excellent. So you already know what are the advantages of Lottie, right? So Lottie is an animation file format that is really small. So if you look at .lottie or Lottie, it is going to be almost 99 to 89% smaller than the GIF itself. So Lottie is about 89% smaller, whereas .lottie is actually 99% smaller. And we at LottieFiles, our aim is to make motion accessible and basically democratize motion. So irrespective of what role, irrespective of what your role is, so you could be a motion designer, a product designer, a developer, or even a marketer, LottieFiles has something for each of you. And not only that, but irrespective of what journey you are in your motion design, LottieFiles has something for each of you in at every step of your journey. For example, to begin, if you are at a point where you are creating animations, then you could just use any tool. So we are actually tool agnostic, which means any tool that you are comfortable using and you like using, you can just create animations in that and then export it using our plugins and integrations. And let's say you finished making your animations, then you can just upload it to your LottieFiles workspace. And this is a centralized hub where all of your animations live. And you can think of it as a Google Drive because it's like a shared workspace, which you can, where you can have your colleagues, your stakeholders, developers all flying in, looking at your animations, maybe, dropping a comment or two. And I think the more about LottieFiles workspace and platform will be shared by Sanjib as we move along in our session. And the last part is obviously about implementation, because once you finish creating an animation, it has live somewhere, right? So maybe you create an animation for, let's say, so that it becomes a part of a website or a mobile app, maybe a presentation or even social media post. Once you create it, it needs to be exported. So exporting it in various formats and also sharing it with your developers so they can be implemented across various platforms. Here is where handoff comes into picture. And again, handoff is very, very seamless and very, very easy with LottieFiles. This is something that Sanjib will be demonstrating in the later half of the session as well. I'm keeping this very brief. If you have any questions, you can always, reach out and ask us, and we'll be more than happy to answer. And for today's workshop, because it's a Figma event, everybody knows that we are not going to be using After Effects to create any animations. It's going to be all Figma. We'll be creating animations in Figma and then exporting them using the LottieFiles plugin. So surprise, surprise. In today's workshop, it's going to be a certification event. So once we finish our entire workshop, we will take you through the final challenge, which you can attempt and then share your animations back with us. And then depending on your submission, we can award you a certificate of completion, which you can later post it on your socials if you would like. So more about the exact process of how to do it, what is acceptable, how to submit, all of that we will be walking you through again towards the end of the session. So the agenda of today is going to be like, first we'll be creating Lottie animations in Figma. Then Sanjib will show you how you can even hand it off to your developer so that journey is complete. And then we'll take you through the final challenge of, how to get a certificate. In this slide, you can see a few examples of some of the animations that we have received or which were made during workshops like these. So all of these have been created by the participants and our, community members themselves. So this is the level of animations that you could expect to create once you understand how to create animations in Figma. And of course, we have the Lottie.community. So in case you have any questions or if you feel like you want to reach out to us even after the workshop, just feel free to sign up on Lottie.community. You can straight up DM us, or you can even go through all our tips, tricks, resources, educational tutorials, courses, and learn more about LottieFiles and how you can integrate it with different design tools. Okay, so I think that's just pretty much about it for the introduction part. Let's move on to the next part of this session. I'm going to be sharing a Figma file with you. Just give me a minute so I can pull in the link. Okay. So here is, I'm sorry. Sanjib, can you help share the link? For some reason, it's not getting copied. Could you try this link, please? I think it should work. Okay, super. I can see participants coming in. That's great. So this is the file that we will be using throughout our workshop. And we want to open up this workshop and make it more conversational and not like a one-dimensional workshop where me and Sanjib are just talking and showing you stuff and you all are just consuming. You have this file that you can work with. So just feel free to grab all the vectors that we have in this file. It's totally yours to like play around. If you look at the file, I'm just going to close the plugin for a moment. If you look at this file here at the bottom, you will see that we have made different sections. So feel free to use this as your playground or as your workspace. All you have to do is just pick one section. You can just add your name in here and then just feel free to grab our vectors, copy paste them here and follow along. At any point during the workshop, if you have any question, just feel free to use this comments feature over here. I can see a lot of 4s and 5s in the chat here, so you already know all about Figma functionalities. But for anybody who's new, you can just grab this comment feature from the bottom toolbar over here and just feel free to tag either me or Sanjib and just ask your question here, so we can just jump right in, take a look at what you are creating and help you with tailored solutions specific to your animations only. So I'll just give some time for all of you to come in. Till then, I will just walk you through just the starting of this workshop. So what is the level of animation we expect? So if you are asking us what is the level of animation we expect, that is something that I'll be covering towards the end when we talk about the certifications part. But if you want to know what is the level of animations you could expect to create at the end of this workshop, then you could probably create something like this, which is a fun sort of a button in Star Wars theme. You can create something as simple as this, or you could even create something that looks as complicated as this little Pikachu over here. This was actually created by one of our community members themselves. And then we also have this animation over here, which is like a micro interaction. So you can expect to create these kind of animations once we finish this workshop. How do I get certified at the end of this workshop? Again, this is something that I'll be covering later. And just a reminder, if you have any questions, just feel free to tag any of us, me, Sanjib, or yeah, I think Mao will be joining us shortly. So once he's in, you can just feel free to tag him as well. Okay, I can see that 32 of us are in. Maybe I'll just wait for a few more of you to join. Meanwhile, I'll just cover the basics of the plugin as well. Has everybody installed the LottieFiles for Figma plugin already? Can I see a few thumbs ups if you already have? Okay, I can see somebody saying yes. Okay, fab. So even if you haven't, people who haven't can use this time to just install the plugin, because I'm just going to briefly give you like a super quick overview of all the potential that is packed into this plugin. So today we'll be using this to create animations, but I want to show you everything else that this plugin is capable of as well. So once you run your plugin, people who haven't installed it and people who are new to Figma, you can just go to your actions panel over here, quick actions panel, go to plugins and widgets, look for LottieFiles, and then just run and install the plugin from here. Okay, so I'm just going to start off with the first tab. So when you open up the plugin, you'll probably end up at export to Lottie. And this is going to be the star of today's entire workshop, because we'll be creating all the animations using just this one tab. But let us look at what else the plugin has to offer as well. So the first tab that we have right over here is the Discover tab, which allows you a window into the LottieFiles library, which I think Ankush mentioned that he's been using the library. So you also have the access to this library from the plugin itself. You don't have to go to LottieFiles.com and look for animations. So you can just search for whatever you want and pick an animation that you like. We have free and premium animations all housed in here. So once you like an animation, you can just open it up. And I know that being designers, you will never be satisfied with, the animation as it is. You might at least want to make a color change, because if you're working with clients, you might want to have animations that have the same brand language or the same color as your brand's colors, right? So you can just use this color palette feature over here and then just swap colors from here and just choose or finalize the one that you like. Else, you also have the option of creating a completely new palette, because if the presets don't cut it for you, if you have a custom palette, you can just create one. You can just copy paste the exact hex codes of your brands and then just apply the custom palette, and then either just insert it as a GIF into your Figma file or even download it in any format that you like. I'll be taking you through these two options in a bit when we start creating our own animations. So like I mentioned, all the other features of the plugin, I'm just going to quickly breeze through. Just feel free to ask me any questions if you do as well. The next tab over here is the workspace. This is again a direct access into your LottieFiles workspace. So like I was mentioning before, the place where you can collaborate with your colleagues, stakeholders, etc. This is where you can do it from. So once we create all of our animations, the ideal workflow for handing it off to a developer would be saving it to your workspace and then handing it off to the developer from there. So more about this from Sanjib towards the end. The next one is the tools section. So over here, just like the name suggests, you have prompt to vector. So all you have to do is you can just, add whatever you want over here. Just feel free to pick a style from here and click on generate. And this will just, generate a vector from you, because I know a lot of times we are pressed for time and we don't really have like time to create a vector from scratch. So if you don't want to do that, just use our prompt to vector feature, quickly create a vector and then start animating it. You also have the raster to vector or the vectorizer right here. Let's say that you download an image, and I know that it is so painful to, like, trace using a pen tool every point and then get the visual right. You don't have to do that anymore. It's old news now. You can just use our vectorizer over here, select an image, and it's just going to spit out a vector for you within seconds. So these are a few tools that are packed within the plugin itself, so you don't have to leave Figma to do all of that. You can do it just with the plugin. I can see that most of you have the plugin all set up and ready to go. If that's so, then I can just move on to the main part of this workshop where we will be creating our animations. Uh, is everybody okay? Should I move on to the main part here? Yes. Okay. Super. Like I mentioned before, this is going to be more like a conversational workshop. So, what we'll be doing is I will be covering the basics or the fundamentals with you. So, I'll just cover all the building blocks of how you can get about creating the animation. And then I'll hand it over to Sanjib. And Sanjib is going to show you how to actually create some amazing, cool stuff within Figma using the plugin. So after every segment or after every chapter, we can pause for a bit and you can just try it out in your sections over here. And just a quick reminder, feel free to tag us and then just grab all the vectors from here as well. So before we get into all the complex stuff, let us look at how we can animate using even one single vector or one single frame. So here I have a vector where I have three hearts that are layered one on top of the other. So let us say that you want to animate this vector over here. Now, when I choose the vector that I want to animate and I have my open and I have my export to Lottie selected over here, when I do that, you can see that the export to Lottie button over here is grayed out. Nothing is happening. So if I want to animate, nothing seems to work. I don't know how to animate this, right? So number one, the first rule that you need to follow in order to get an animation to work is whatever you want to animate has to be housed within a frame. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a frame. So for all the newbies, you can just click on this hash button here or just click or just tap on F on your keyboard and then just drag out a frame. So once I drag out a frame and then put my vector inside of my frame here, when I select this, it still doesn't work, right? My vector is inside a frame, but still the button is grayed out. And that is because my vector is selected and not my frame. So number one rule of creating a Lottie animation in Figma is whatever vector you want to animate, it has to be inside of a frame and you need to select a frame. So to animate this, just choose click on the frame and just click on export to Lottie. So as soon as you do that, the plugin is going to give you a lot of presets or options here at the bottom asking you how you would like to animate it. So by default, it has just selected the first preset for me. So you can just play around this and see what you like. There are a plenty of options over here that you can play around with. So you have a few under highlight, move in, and then move out as well. For this particular vector over here, I think the pulse one works really well because it gives you that nice beating heart sort of an animation right here. So I like this, so I'd like to choose this for my heart animation. So yeah, so okay, thank you Sanjay for answering that. Yeah, groups work too. So I chose the pulse preset here for this, and apart from that, there are a few more options that you could work with. For example, you have the duration right here, which is set to 20 frames. So how this is calculating the entire animation is your duration is set to 20, then you have something called as a start delay value, and then you have the end delay value also. So when you see that the total animation is for 45 frames, it is adding up the duration and the start delay and the end delay values over here. So let's say I tune up my duration over here and set it to 50 frames. You can see now that my animation is much slower and it is calculating 50 plus 25, which makes it a 75 frame long animation. So I'm just going to revert this to default and maybe just see what the start delay and end delay values do. So start delay right now was at 0. If I just put it to 10, you can see that again my duration has increased by 10 frames. And when you say that the start delay value is set to 10, it means that the first 10 frames of my animation are going to be the first frame. So right now this animation begins with a blank frame, so I'll have the same blank frame for about 10 frames, and then my actual animation will start from the 11th frame. The same logic applies to the end delay value. If I change it from 25 to 100 and push the start delay to 0, you can see that my animation starts on time, but once the animation ends after 20 frames, all the next 100 frames is going to be my last frame. So your start delay and your end delay values will define how much longer should the first frame and the last frame should linger on. So that is the logic behind your start delay and the end delay values. I'm just going to shift this back to what it was by default. And apart from that, this you have a few other things, like you can just play around with the background color to see what your animation might look like in a different color. And you also have this option over here, which is your layer animation. So you can either set it to sequential, which is your default value, or you can even set it to parallel. When I change it to parallel, all my three layers are going to appear at once, right? So this is what your sequential and parallel options do over here. They determine how your layers should appear. So when I set it to sequential, my three layers, heart 1, heart 2, and heart 3, will appear one after the other. And of course, the order of how these vectors might appear is going to be dependent on how your layers are structured inside of your frame over here. Are there any questions about this? I think Sanjib has already answered a few here in the chat. Okay, another thing that you could do with your single frame animation is, for example, I have this hello vector written over here, and this is a vector that has been created by a single stroke. So once again, if I click on hello, it's not going to work. The reason that I'm stressing on this point so many times is because we've got a lot of participants who, come to us saying that the export to Lottie button is not accessible. And if that is happening to you, chances are that you're choosing the vector and not the frame. So make sure that your frame is selected, and once again click on export to Lottie. But this time around, instead of choosing the pulse preset, I'm going to choose the trim path option. So I have a nice hello animation which looks like the word is writing itself. So these are some cool animations that you can try out or experiment using single strokes. And let us say that you are happy with a particular animation, and maybe this is, you want to finalize this, right? So let us say that you like this animation. Once you do that, you can either insert it as a GIF in your Figma file. So Figma as a software right now does not natively support Lottie. So when you are inserting it into a Figma file, you will have to insert it as a GIF. So if you want to insert it, you can just click on this button, choose the size of your GIF, small, medium, large. I'm just going to say large for now. And then you can even toggle this transparency check button over here, and then just click on insert as GIF. So once you do that, it is going to generate a GIF for you. And most likely when this happens, one second. Yeah, so because mine was a really large GIF, you can see how big it is. And most likely you won't be able to see this animation right now, because when your animation is getting inserted as a GIF in Figma, its preview is going to be your first frame. So the reason my GIF is not visible right now in my UI or in my Figma file is because the first frame of my animation is blank. Let's say this was the first frame of your animation, then this would have been the preview. So if you feel that you've inserted the GIF but it's not visible, it is probably because its first frame is transparent. So what you can do is you can just check your layers panel over here just to make sure if the GIF has been inserted or not. So I'm just going to put this in a frame here and resize it. And if you want, you can just preview your frame here and see if it is the way that you had just created it. Yeah, perfect. So once again, this is not the most ideal flow if you are working on a UI UX design project. And the reason for this is because this a GIF in a Figma can be used for representational purpose. For example, let's say that you are working on a mobile app UI or a website UI, then you can just add these animations as GIFs for representational purpose in order to like get an approval from your managers or your stakeholders. But when you actually hand it off, or when you actually want to make it a part of your website or app, you will have to hand off the Lottie or the .lottie file format to your developer. And once again, Sanjay will be showing us how to do that. Apart from this, with a stroke, you also have this particular touch ID animation over here, which resembles the Apple UI animations that you have. So over here, again, I'm going to just export it to Lottie. Choose the trim path option here as well. But this time around, instead of having it sequential, I'm going to change it to parallel so that so that it resembles the animations that you normally see on your iOS devices. So even with one single frame of your animation, the possibilities are limitless. Okay, the quality of the animation is very low. So if you're referring to the GIF that we created, the quality is going to be slightly lower because it's a raster. So when you want to implement it as a part of your website or an app, you will have to export it as a Lottie, and your quality will be untouched because it's vector based. You can make it bigger, smaller, whatever. Your quality won't be affected. So this is pretty much about what you can do with just one vector or a single frame. I'm just going to hop on to your sections and see if you've... Okay. So just feel free to follow along. If you want a few minutes to try out the single frame animation, you can do that. If you're okay with this, and if you could move to the next chapter or the next segment where you can animate with multiple frames, that's fine too. Just let me know in the chat how you would like to proceed. Oh, I have two contradicting responses. Okay, I'm just going to wait for a few minutes. Aditya, can you elaborate what you mean?
Animation has yet to load on the wherever we are handing it off to, and we need a still image of the animation that's supposed to, and once it loads then it can animate. So is it possible to put an image in the first frame or something?
I think you can. You can even insert it as an SVG, but then you might want to, like, if you layer the GIF on top of it, then the SVG will be visible. So I'm not sure how that will work. Sanjib, do you want to add on to this?
Yeah, I think in video format it's possible. Before you play an animation in an MP4 format, you just keep the um, first frame as the animation when it loads as the first frame, and when someone is trying to preview this, they will always see the first frame and they will get an idea of what the animation is. But with Lottie, I think if you put the first frame as a preview, then when it loops, it will create some you know distraction, or it will create some a problem. So I don't think in Lottie format it's possible to keep the first frame as preview. So it will show you where the animation usually starts. I think I answered the question correctly if I got the question.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood your question. I meant if you wanted to like insert a preview in your UI. So I thought you might want to use an SVG, but I think Sanjib's answer is more appropriate. Okay, can I move to the next part? Okay, perfect. So let us say that you've tried out the single frame, but you are not really happy because every time you try and animate a single frame, you are sort of relying at the mercy of the presets that the plugin has to show you, right? But you want more control, and right now, because we were working with a single frame, you didn't really have a lot of control, and the plugin was showing you a few presets. And the reason for this is, as all of us know, animation is nothing but a sequence of images. So when you don't have a sequence, when you're just giving one single animation or one single vector to the plugin, it doesn't know what vision you have in mind. And that is the reason it is going to show you different plugins here at the bottom to try and test it out. But let's say that you have a very clear vision in your mind that you would like to execute. So for example, for this one, I want to start off with this frame, but as we move along, I want the hearts to blow up completely, maybe consume my entire frame and then go back down. So I have a three frame sequence in mind, so I'm just going to duplicate this frame twice, so I have like 3 frames. And because I want my heart to blow up in the middle, I'm just going to select my vector here and then just make it super big so it covers my entire frame. So just like how you did before, when you wanted to animate a single frame, you just clicked on one frame and hit export to Lottie. This time around, if you have a sequence in mind, you can just choose all the frames together, and then click on export to Lottie, and you will see that it plays in transitions, one frame after the other. Now, the catch with this, or not really a catch, but again, there are a few rules that you need to follow. So when we were doing the single frame animation, there was only one rule for us to follow, is that just making sure that the vectors are neatly tucked into our frames, right? But the moment you sort of move beyond one single frame and move on to multiple frames, you have to make sure of a few more things. For the first one being that all the layers have to be present in all the frames, and they should have the same names and the same order too. Let me explain why and how. So for example, I'm just going to create the same sequence once again. And in this frame, I'm just going to delete this, and over here I'm just going to give this fill this pink color, right? So now when you look at these two sequences here, the one at the top and the bottom, they are visually identical. There is absolutely no difference in these two sequences when you look at it visually, right? So but what is happening is, when I'm animating this, clicking on export to Lottie, I have a nice animation that plays. But what happens when I select these 3 frames and click on export to Lottie? Oops, I think I click. Okay, I sort of selected the hello also. So just make sure that you're selecting only the parts that you need. Yeah. So now when I export this, you can see that there is some glitch. There is an issue. And the reason for this is because over here, my layer structure is not maintained. So if you've worked in a traditional animation software before, maybe something like After Effects, you know that you have a timeline and then you have keyframes, right? But Figma is not an animation software, so it doesn't have any of those. It doesn't have a playhead, it doesn't have a timeline, it doesn't have keyframes, right? So how does the plugin understand how you want your objects or your vectors to move? So over here, the plugin is taking into account the layer system. So what is happening is, when you examine this stack over here, when you examine this sequence, you can see that you have your heart one over here, and then when you move to your heart one in frame 2, the plugin knows exactly what is happening to heart one when it moves from frame 1 to frame 2. And this is how it is able to understand and make those transitions in between your frame 1 to frame 2 and frame 2 to frame 3. So the minute we throw that out, the minute we disturb our layer sequence, you can see that it doesn't understand, it doesn't have keyframes, so to speak. So what is happening, it's just going to play frame 1, then it's going to show you frame 2, and then it's just going to play frame 3 for you. So just make sure that if your animation is not running as efficiently or as smoothly as you would like it to be, there could be a reason that the layer structure is damaged. Maybe the layers are not named correctly, or maybe some layers are not present in a few of your frames. So one hygiene check, or one easy way to do this, is just make sure that whenever you're creating a sequence, just make sure that you're duplicating your frame. So when you duplicate, all your layers are going to stay intact. Now I know that some of you might feel that, I want, so let's say that you're creating a scene and then you want your stars to appear only from the second frame or the third frame. In that case, you can always play around with the opacity values. So for example, in this one, let us say that when I move to frame 2, I don't want this to be visible. So I'm just going to tone the appearance down to 0, but my layer still exists. So I just choose both of them together, and then I have this animation where my heart is disappearing. So one way to hide your elements could be by just setting the opacity to 0. Okay, I think Sanjib has already answered Sasha's question. Do you need to prototype these? Just like Sanjib mentioned, if you want more control, then you will have to prototype them. I will show you that in just a bit after we finish this segment here. So this is pretty much about multiple frames. So single and multiple frames are sort of like preset animations because you don't have so much control over the way your animations are flowing. There is one thing that you could do is you could just, play around with the speed over here. So if you want an animation that's like really fast, you can just set it to 2x, so it's double, or you can just cut it into half and make it slower. This is very similar to single frames. So if you want to try this out, you could take a few minutes, or if you feel ready, we can move to the next one, which is your prototype animation. So all of these rules that I just mentioned, the fact that all the vectors have to be in the frame and all the layers have to be in the same order with the same names, all of these rules have to stay with you throughout the rest of this workshop or whenever you're creating your Lottie animations. I can see that some of you have already started creating some really awesome stuff here. Do you guys want some time to try this out, or can I move on to the next segment? Okay, move on. Super. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to copy the same sequence that we just did. I'm just making sure that I'm grabbing the right sequence and not the one with errors. Okay. Just checking this out again. Yes, okay, this is the right one. Yeah, so somebody had asked a question about prototypes, right? So once you know the single and the multiple frame animations, this is still not good for you. You want more, you're hungry for more control. So this is the point where you can start experimenting with prototyping. So I can see that most of you are 4s and 5s. So again, I'm not going to go into detail about prototyping in Figma. If you have any questions about prototypes, do ask me and I'll be more than happy to share. So first things first, just move or change your mode from design to prototype over here. And the first thing that you need to do is just click on the first frame of your animation and set a flow starting point. So just like the name suggests, this is going to determine where your animation is starting from. So I'm just going to call this heart underscore Nishi. Okay, so this is going to determine which is your first frame of your animation. Now, when you start stringing this along, just connect your frame 1 to frame 2. But what happens in these circumstances, one rule again, or one thing that you need to be mindful of is when you have vectors that are really large, that are spilling outside of your frame, most of the times it's going to snap to its nearest vector. So just be super mindful of this. Make sure you're connecting the first frame to the second frame and it's not getting connected to any layers, right? So once you do that, you have this panel that opens up. One thing that you need to keep in mind is you have the trigger here on top, which by default is set to on click. So you don't really have to change anything over here. In order to make the Lottie animations work, you can play around with either on click or after delay, because these are supported and these will work very seamlessly with your animations. But even if your trigger is set to on click, it doesn't necessarily mean that your animation is going to run only after you click on something. It's just the way of the plugin knowing that we have to move from frame 1 to frame 2. So you don't have to bother too much about the trigger. You can just leave it at on click. One thing that you need to change is just change your animation from your instant to smart animate. So once you do that, by default, your curve will be set to ease out, and then you'll have the duration set to 300 milliseconds. Again, I'm not going to change that right now, but we will do that as we connect the other, other frame. So let's see how to proceed. So once I've connected my frame 1 and frame 2, I'm just going to do the same for frame 2 to frame 3. You can see that how my string or how my connection is snapping to the vector. Again, it is very tempting to just leave it as it is, but just be mindful that you're not doing that, because it's going to render your animation incorrectly. So just make sure that you're connecting it to frame 3. The beauty of Figma prototypes is it's going to remember all the settings that you've done before, so you have the same settings here, and then you don't have to bother about changing them. So once I have this, I'm just going to, there are 2 3 ways of rendering your prototypes. One is that you can either click on this drop down over here and select the name of your prototype, or you can just click on the first frame of your prototype over here and then just click on export to Lottie. And you can see that my sequence is running just the way I intended to. Now one might ask me that, you just created this sequence over here, which was your multiple frame animation. Even without prototyping, it sort of has a similar, similar effect. You can just double up the speed and it's just as faster as you created with prototypes. But here, this is what makes it interesting, or this is what sets prototypes apart, right? So when we were stringing this along, we left these few options as it is, but over here you can play around with all of these values. So let us say I'm just going to leave it at maybe just make it linear and keep the duration, change the duration to, let's say, 100 milliseconds, so it's like super fast. But what happens when it moves from frame 2 to frame 3 is I'm going to change it and make it maybe 2000, so it's like really slow. So now when I render this prototype out, you can see that it is starting really fast but really slowing down when it goes from frame 2 to frame 3. So one is you can distribute your pacing across frames. Over here you will have uniform speed or uniform pacing across all the frames. Here you have that control. Another thing that you could do is, in the beginning I mentioned that you can play around with the on click and the after delay values here. So if you click on after delay, by default, it's going to be set at 800 milliseconds, which is the amount of time it is going to take to move from frame 1 to frame 2, sorry. So what is happening when you click on click, it is going to just transition from 1 to 2. But if you leave it at after delay and set a time frame over here, it is going to take that much time to move on to the next part. Something similar to the start delay value that we saw earlier. So now once I change this to after delay, if you make any changes in your prototype, you don't have to go back and re-export your prototype. You can just click on this refresh flow and it will show you your prototype with the updated settings. So this is, you can see that my prototype has already refreshed over here. And another fun thing that you could do is, let's say that I change my curve from ease out to maybe bouncy over here, and I want this to happen like really fast. So I set this to about 200 and then refresh it again. And you can see that I have like a nice fun animation. So all of these things are not possible with like single frames or multiple frames. You will have to prototype to get this control. So this is something that we created with the heart, where we have like a subtle bounce effect. This is another animation which is similar to the Google animation. So mostly when you prototype, like I mentioned before, just feel free to, if you want to hide a few elements, like let's say I want the green dot to appear later, you can just set the opacity to 0 and then refresh this, and you can see that the green circle is appearing much later in the animation. um, so just a few things that I would like to, so these are a few technical things. You don't necessarily need to know them in order to create animations, but it's always good to have this knowledge, so you're more you're doing it, you know what you're doing basically. So whenever you have your transition set, so initially when we started off we had like 300,000 etc, right? So it is going to be in milliseconds. So when you have an animation that is flowing from frame 1 to frame 4, and then it's set to 100, sorry, it's set to 1000, and then here you have a, let's say, a 500 milliseconds after delay, and then again a 1500 duration from frame 3 to frame 4. So again, don't worry about the numbers, but let us say that you have an animation which you've rendered for about, which is going on about for 4000 milliseconds, which means that it is going to play for about 4 seconds. In that case, you have to keep in mind that the Figma plugin is going to export your animations at the rate of 60 frames per second. So if you have a 4 second long animation, it means you're going to have 240 frames in your animation. This is just something that's good to know, so you can plan your animations accordingly. We also have this link attached over here, so just feel free to open this up, because this contains like it's a treasure trove of different kinds of animations that we have created internally, and some of them have been created by our community team members themselves. So I'm just going to preview and show you a few. So these have all been made by just using your prototypes and just Figma features, like they have used masking in this one. You can create a toggle animation like this one here, or this is again something similar to your Twitter like button. So this is a micro interaction. Somebody created this really cool splash screen animation. This was again built by our community members. And you can even create something as complex as this one, so where you have this entire walk cycle of this Squid Game person walking. So if you look at this animation, it is actually a combination of multiple prototypes. So we had one prototype where you just have the Squid Game guy walking, so it's a walk cycle. Then you have another animation with the Squid Game letters, and then we have combined these two animations to create a complex scene. This is something that Sanjib will be showing us in just a bit. But yeah, these, so it is also compatible with your layer blurs, gradients, and all of those things. So just feel free to try out those. You can just go through this file and see and examine. So if you want to know how a particular thing is built, you can just zoom in and look at all of these prototype strings to understand how these have been strung along.
uh, Guys, I'm actually getting this kind of a screen that's right now showing on the Lottify plugin. Can you go back to the previous one,
uh,
the
this one.
examples that you were showing?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there are no settings over here, right? For the duration edit and
Sorry, I don't understand what you mean. Which one?
my question is, I cannot see the way to edit those time frames.
Like these?
Yeah,
I think, let
not.
me.
I'm not talking about the prototype one. The previous, the
This,
first example that you showed now.
is it the this one?
Yeah, anyone you can choose.
Okay.
What I'm saying, yeah. So there's no way to edit the duration and all that stuff over here, right?
Oh yeah, so this is because this has been prototyped. So if you want to edit the duration, you will have to do it from here. So you won't have the duration
Okay.
options
So
over here.
Yeah, I think Aditya,
I was
Nishi, what
trying the
Aditya is
initial
trying
one
to.
where
Yeah, so when you create an animation with single frame, you will have all those options to customize the duration, the end delay, and the after delay. But if you are creating an animation with multiple frames using prototypes, that the duration and everything can be customized with the prototype settings. So that's why you don't have all those settings.
okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aditya.
Thank you, Sanjay. Okay, I think once this is done, once you figured out how to animate using multiple frames and prototypes, that's all you need to know to create Lottie animations. After this, it's just how you are going to use it to create more complex and more advanced stuff. So you can use gradients, you can use masks, you can just combine multiple animations like I showed you for the Squid Game one. And that's pretty much all the building blocks and all the fundamentals you need to know in order to create an animation. So from here onwards, I'm going to hand it off to Sanjay so he can show you how you can utilize these blocks and then create something that's more interesting and more advanced.
Yes, thank you, Nishi. Just trying to reply one question. So, Dinesh, so the reason it's taking time to insert as a GIF sometimes, if the animation is very long or it's having so much gradient, the colors, or it has, if the animation is very complex, then it takes some time to insert the GIF as insert the GIF from the plugin. But I think it should be fine if you give it some time. Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Nishi. I think as of now we have a very good understanding of how Figma to Lottie works and how we can create simple animations using single frames and using prototypes. So from here, I'm going to be showing you a couple of more examples that you can create, using other methods. So for that, please allow me to share my screen uh, real quickly. Yeah. So for the second part of this workshop, we're going to be animating something like this that you usually see on onboarding journeys, like simple loaders and spinners. So if I open my plugin real quickly and show you what we are going to be creating, if I go to prototypes and look at the name of this starting point of this prototype flow, we can open this list by this and select this prototype name and play this animation. So we're going to be creating something like this where this wavy shapes is kind of filling up this ellipse to show that it is charging. And we're going to be using a simple shape like this two shapes which are going to be masked inside uh, an ellipse like this, and we are going to be just moving it from bottom to top, and you know and this animation will be done in just simple 2 frames. So for that, if you guys want to follow along, you can copy this frame over here that we have made beforehand. So for that, I will come back to the design mode and create a duplicate. So here, as you can see, if I go inside this design and take a look at the layer panel, we see we have these two dark blue layers marked inside this ellipse, and that is where this is creating an illusion that this uh, two wavy shapes are marks inside, and you cannot see anything else that is outside this ellipse. So as we all can as we know that we are all not beginners with Figma, we don't need to show you how to mask these shapes inside this ellipse. We will just start from here. So in the first frame, what we will do, we'll go inside this dark blue shapes and move it a little bit down. We can use our mouse pointers, but sometimes what it happens like so that when you are moving this, it can go outside this mask ellipse. So it is a good way to do it is if you use the arrow keys like this. So what we will do, we will completely make it disappear from the mask and make it go a little bit down. And in the next scene, what we will do, we will select the same two shapes and move them up so that it completely fills the ellipse. So if I go to my prototype tab and select the first frame and connect the first frame to the next one, and in the interaction panel, I will keep the trigger as on click, and in animation, I will choose smart animate, and from here I will keep it as ease out. So this easing it means the animation will start very fast, and it will, you know, as it goes towards the end of the animation, it will slowly end. So for that, I will keep it as ease out, and for the duration I will keep it as like half a second, 500 milliseconds. So I will again open the Figma plugin, LottieFiles plugin, and I will select the first frame and click on export to Lottie. As you can see, the animation is very fast because I have kept it as only half a second. So I will go back and make it somewhere like 2 seconds. And now I will come back here and reload this animation and see how the animation is playing out right now. So right now it's very slower, but it is not how we have seen earlier when we played this, because I haven't moved these two wavy shapes uh, in their opposite direction. So for that, what we have to do is we have to click and select one wavy shape that is here, and we will use the arrow keys, and along with that I will keep pressing shift and press the arrow key to move it from left to right until we are at the end of this shape. So I'll go back to design so that we can clearly see how it is going, and I will do the same, do the same as in move it towards the opposite direction on the other shape. Keep pressing the left arrow so that it moves towards the opposite end inside the mask. Yeah, I think that's enough. Now, if I again go back to the LottieFiles plugin and reload the animation, now you can see that it is making the illusion of a wavy animation and is filling up. So we can also do one thing. We can just go back to this design and select mm, this shape that's there on top, and click this group and make it a little bit bigger so that it grows bigger as in when the wavy shapes fills up the space. So what I will do, I will go back and reload this. As you can see, uh, so the plugin is playing the animation, and it is showing you the transformation from one frame to the next frame. So in order to make it some more adjustment to this animation, what I need to do is I want this animations to stay for some time. It should not play immediately after it ends. So for that, what I will do, I will create another duplicate of the last frame, and I'll go to prototype and connect this to the frame, and it will and here, so I will take a duration of how long I want this animations to stay. So so for example, I want this animations to stay for 1 second. So I will do the duration, I will edit the duration to 100 millisecond. So in this frame, I haven't done any changes, so it remains as it is. So if I reload this animation here, as you can see, the animation is staying for a while after the animation is done. So In this way, creating using a mask, you can create an animation like this. So, any questions up until now? If anybody is following this, are you guys facing any issues? I will just pause here for some time. Yeah, sure. So, another example would be this, where it is again using the same technique, that is masking, where if I play this animation, as you can see, the wavy shapes are masked inside this rectangle, where the top two part are rounded, but the bottom part is not rounded. So these two wavy shapes are inside this rectangle, and they are on the next frame. They are just moving in their opposite direction, and that is why it is creating this illusion of this character is floating in the air. Any questions up until now? Okay, all right. So let us move on to the next example, where we are going to step ahead and make a little bit complex animation, where we are going to use uh, component sets, and we are going to create different animation and bring all this animation together in one frame to create complex animation. So if you look at this animation, if I play this.
Sanjib,
Yes, Nishi.
so sorry to interrupt you, but there was a request. Could you explain the masking part once more?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Thank you.
So here, if you take a look at this two shapes, if I place it like this and bring this to bring this ellipse here, and what we're going to do is we will do a right click on it and make it use as mask. And once you do that, as you can see over here, this mask, it creates a mask group, and inside that you have a shape. And if you bring these two shapes inside that, just like this, now what it is happening, these two shapes are being masked by this ellipse. So whatever that is outside this ellipse is not visible, but these two waves, but whatever that is inside this ellipse, it's visible. So if I bring everything inside a frame, and maybe I need to change the color of these two shapes so that they're visible. Okay, anyways, so what I will do is I will move them down a bit so that up until a point where they are not visible at all, and onto the next frame I will make a duplicate of this frame, and on this frame I will move them up, and also at the same time I will move them move each of these frames towards their opposite direction on their. Yeah, this example would be nice to follow. Thanks, Nishi. So here, as you can see, in this group, I have two vector shapes that's masked inside this ellipse, and their placed at the all the way towards the bottom, and onto the next frame they went up, to fill the entire ellipse, and once they are going up, they are also going in their opposite direction. So if I go to the prototype section, and we can see it is already prototyped, and if I open the LottieFiles plugin and run this animation, as you can see, these shapes are going up and also on their opposite direction, and that is when the animation is showing like this. I hope this answered the question, Dinesh.
Just to add on to Sanjib, since Aditya was asking if we could explain using a simpler example. So the one that Sanjib showed right now is exactly the same as the one that he did before, except the illustration or the vector, which is outside with all those symbols and icons, is just much more polished and refined. But the fundamental of the waves in a circle climbing up on top is the same. So you can just put it in any skeleton just to make it look visually better or on brand.
Yes, thank you, Nishi. Okay, so moving on to the next part where we will create a little bit more advanced animation using multivariant component sets. So if we take a look at the example, the animation that we're going to create is which is this. So if you take a look at this animation, where this animation is a combination of three different animation, which is this house, and this wavy line, and this sun animation. So for that, a technique that we're going to use is the which we call component set. So for that, what we will do, I already have designed the animation, the frames for this animation, and we just need to go to prototype and string them up with prototype links. And for this, I will keep the settings for the introduction part like this, and I will go to the next frame and connect it to the third frame as well. And I will just preview the animation. As you can see, this animation is playing right now. It is just going from first frame to the second frame and to the third frame. Since the third frame and the first frame looks similar, that's why it's looping perfectly. All right, so moving on to the next one, when this wave, I will just create the prototype like this. And what I will do, I will again connect the second frame to the first frame so that they are loop. When it's playing, they're looping. And I will select this first frame and go back and click on export to Lottie, and we can see this animation is playing. Now I will go to the next animation where we have this uh, nice animation of a sun beaming. So what I will do, I will do the same thing by connecting these three frames by prototypes, and I will click the first frame and play this one just to see if it is animating. So yeah, so after doing the prototypes for all these three animation, what we will do, we will select all these frames together and go back to design mode and click on this button and create on component set. So what it will do, it will bring all these three frames inside one component, and all these three are different variants. So I will do the same for this wave animation as well. I will select these two frames and click on create component set, and for the sun as well. Now what I will do is I will bring one empty scene, I mean a frame. I will make it a little bit bigger, and what I will do, I will bring each variant from this three components one by one and drop it inside this frame. So how I will do that, I will press option alt and click and drag this variant inside this empty frame, and I will do the same. Any one of this variant, I will just press option or alt and click and drag, and I will do the same with this sun animation as well. So right now what we have this three different animation inside one frame. And what I will do, I will bring this wavy animation back to in the back of this house animation, and I will keep it somewhere here. Now if I go to prototype, as I can see, I already have a flow inserted here. I'll just open the LottieFiles plugin and click on export to Lottie. Here, as you can see, when we were creating this animation, they were all separate animation. But using this technique, what we are able to do is we are able to bring all these three animation together inside one frame, and we can create something like this. So using this technique, we are not we are able to create complex animations like this, and it gives you more control about how you're gonna customize this animation. So in your main scene you have only three layers, and all these three animations are being made in a separate components, and inside that you can go and change whatever you want, and all these changes will be updated automatically in your main scene over here. So I'll just take a pause over here to see if anybody has any question. Yes, Abhimanyu. So in order to do that, in order to bring different animation inside one animation, you have to create those animations separately, and create component set out of that, and bring one variance from those components and bring inside your new frame. So if you want to go one step further and create uh, more advanced animation. So for example, maybe I want to move this sun from somewhere here to here. So we can go ahead and create a duplicate of this scene, of this frame, and onto this next frame you can move this sun like this, and again on this frame you can do this prototype, and the new animation that you're going to see where the sun is going to be moving. So here when you are working with component set, you can go one step further and create duplicates of this scene and move stuff around to create even more complex animations. So I have one question. Can you export this animation as After Effects file? So technically yes you can, but there is going to be a little bit roundabout way to do it. So first of all you need to export this animation as a Lottie from Figma, then save it to your workspace, and then open After Effects LottieFiles plugin, and from there you can import the Lottie. So you can have layer level edit access to those animations. So once you're done with this animation, obviously you want to be able to hand it off to someone who actually going to use it on a product or a website. So for that you have to export this in a Lottie and save it to your workspace. So what you are going to do is you open the plugin again and export this animation into a Lottie. And after you are done with the animation and you are all satisfied and no more changes is required, you can simply go ahead and click on save to. And this is where you are going to be asked to select a location in your LottieFiles platform where you're going to save. So as you can see, I'm already logged in and I have a workspace called Design House, and inside that I have different folders that I have for different animations. And I'll just go ahead and select the folder and I will click on save. So yeah, so after some time you can see the animation is saved. Right now this animation is showing under workspace, so it means the animation is saved in a workspace. So to open it on your browser, you just need to click on this three dots and click on open in browser. So here as you can see, once you do that, the animation will be played inside this new platform. So this platform is nothing but a space where you stored all your animation that you create in different platforms like After Effects, Figma, and from here you have this sort of ability to collaborate with others. You can hand this animation to someone who are going to implement this in a real product or on a website, or you can share this animation with a stakeholder to get feedback and all those stuff. So here as you can see, this animation is playing inside this LottieFiles platform, and from here you can download this animation in different formats. Majorly you have four different formats. You have optimized.lottie, .lottie, optimized lottie JSON, and lottie JSON. As you can see, the difference between the sizes, the .lottie seems to be the lowest one because it's using some complex compressed .lottie is a compressed uh, format on top of lottie JSON. So you can download all this Lottie animations from here. And along with that, you can also download this animation in different raster formats like GIF, MP4, WebM, the same options that you would get in the plugin itself. And from here, if you take a look at this button that's called handoff, you can click on it and it will open the option for the handoff options. So from here, you just need to click on this option to enable the asset CDN link. So once you do that, all these options will be available for you. So here you have the asset link. So this is the link that you need to provide to the developer who are going to implement this animation. So you can just click on it and copy the link and share it to your dev. And right now, as you can see, the asset link format is currently .lottie. So if you're using a .lottie player, you can share this asset link as it is. But if you are using Lottie JSON player, you can change the Lottie format here, and that changes the asset link as well. So you need to copy it again and share it. So if you are going down, as you can see, you have this animation version. So this is nothing but the animation history of this current animation. So for example, after exporting some feedback came in and you just need to do some changes to the animation, keeping this asset link same, you can upload another version of this animation. And if you go back, if you click here version history, it will open all the version history that you have for this animation, and you can click here and activate that. So if I go back here, and you also have this option to embed this animation on a website. So you can have option to embed it in HTML, React, iOS, Android, and more. So from here you have more options to use this animation in different platforms, so you can explore that. You also have this O-embed link from here. You can copy it and share O-embed and iframe code as well. So yeah, so this is pretty much it in how you can hand this animation that you create in Figma to Lottie, and implement this in real world applications and and websites. So yeah, that would be it from my side. I will just ask Nishi to give you how you can participate in the challenge and get the certificate. Before that, I would like to take a pause over here if you guys have any question based on whatever we discussed so far.
Sanjib, could you just show Vijay how he can open this in After Effects? So I think he still has the same question, if I'm not wrong. Like he wants to have it in the vector format in After Effects.
Yeah, sure, sure. So for that, what we have to do is we need to go to we need to click on this. One way you can do it, which is you can click on the asset link and copy the asset link. And if you, I need to open my After Effects real quick. Please allow me some time. So once your After Effects is open, you can open the After Effects plugin, and you remember you copied the asset link from there. You just need to go here in import section and paste the link in here. Okay, it's only support Lottie JSON, so you need to go back and change the asset link version to Lottie JSON, and again copy it and paste it over here. Okay, so this is not working right now. So you can what you can do is you can go back to the animation and download it as a Lottie JSON. And
Maybe we can access it from the workspace also, Sanjib.
yeah, we can. So this is one way to import. So if you can log in, and this button will be turned into export, you can click on here, and you can also access the same animation from workspace tab as well. So let me just quickly log in. I will allow access and go back to After Effects and go into that same folder where I have saved this one. So I'll just click on insert to AE, and it will bring this animation to your workspace. So yeah, I think this is pretty much everything that I had to share with you. If you guys have any more questions, then you can head over to our community, Lottie.community, and you can tag us from here if you guys have any other questions.
Okay, thank you, Sanjib. Can I just share my screen so I can take all of you through the final challenge part since we just.
Hey Nishi,
Yes,
before we do that, can I quickly share a little bit about Lottie Creator?
yes, please.
Hey folks, I'm Mao from LottieFiles. I work together with Nishi and Sanjib. I'm sorry for jumping in a little late. So yeah, I'm not sure if you have heard, but we have something called Lottie Creator, which is an web app that is very similar to After Effects or any other timeline-based animation tool. And we have been working on getting it out of beta. I know we have it out in beta version for a long time, and I just want to share what is coming out right now and what you can expect from this animation tool. I have seen a lot of folks talking that can we change this into an After Effects file? I'm assuming that a lot of you are motion designers or have a little familiarity with After Effects. So the idea of Lottie Creator itself is for us to bring out the best features of After Effects that would help you export as Lottie, JSON, or .lottie formats and use those features. So yeah, let me quickly share my screen and show you what Lottie Creator is all about. Let me know if you can see my screen. Good. Right. So yeah, if you go to lottie.new, you will be directed towards either our current beta version or the new version. We are slowly rolling out the new version to a lot of folks. So yeah, if you look at the left panel here, this is something similar to what we already have in Lottie Creator, but we have added few more options such as the spring curve that is sometimes not possible in After Effects without using a third-party plugin, but we are building this inside a creator so that you don't have to convert expressions to keyframes. You can bring them in directly with Lottie Creator, and you do not need to create a lot of keyframes that's going to bulk up your Lottie size. So these sort of little nifty features we are bringing into Creator, and on top of that, we are bringing something called motion presets. This is also something that's already available, but our target is to make these motion presets in a way that this lives inside your workspace, and even you can create these presets just for yourselves to use, so that you can share it with your community, or just with the team that you're working on. So motion presets is something that's coming soon as well. And what I'm most excited about Lottie Creator right now is that the state machines is coming in as well. We have the devs are currently working on making this happen. As most of you know, that Lottie itself is a playback animation format. What you can do with a Lottie animation is a little limited without having these interactive elements in it. So again, Lottie Creator is going to help you create these segments, these themes, and on top of it, you can create buttons such as this, where you can click on this so that a part of an animation triggers, and this can be again handed off to dev and create these interactive animations as you go. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for this time. Nishi, over to you. I'm not sure if Nishi is here. Okay, so Nishi said she's having some technical issues. I think she's going to join back hopefully soon.
Mom, I'm here.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
We also have one question from, so in place of A, we can use Lottie Creator. Yeah, so the idea of Lottie Creator is again, not to replace After Effects, but it's more of like a tool that is provided together with the Lottie platform for free that you can use with a timeline with those keyframes, so that you don't need to go back to After Effects. You can simply open platform, just directly open the animation inside Creator, make those tiny changes, bring theming on it. But again, this can be a whole different session on what you can do with Creator. But yes, our idea is to bring interactivity to Lottie animations with Lottie Creator. So, Nishi, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Mao. Okay, so I'm going to move on to probably one of the important parts of the session, because this is all about certification and final challenge and how you can get certified. So in the same file that we have shared with you, there is going to be another page which is titled Final Challenge. You can find all the details or specifics related to the channel over here. So for this workshop, we have the brief open. So we are not saying that it has to have a certain theme or it should be a certain kind of animation asset. It could be anything that you want, absolutely anything. It doesn't have to have any theme. We do have some criteria in order to approve animations, and that would be that whatever you create has to be either a prototype animation or a multi-component animation like the one Sanjib showed at the last. It cannot be a single or a multiple file animation. Another thing is, I know that we've shared a file which is full of different vectors with you all. So you can use the vectors that we have shared. But if you want to submit this as a part of your certification, then just try to modify, make a few changes and make it your own. If you're going to submit the vectors or the flows as it is, then we may not be able to accept those. So just keep that in mind. The date or the deadline for you to submit your final animations is going to be 1 week from now. So it's going to be next Friday, which is 5th of September. So just make sure that you send your animations in before September 5th ends, so before 11:59 p.m. If you're joining from any other time zones, you can just check your local time over here. And even during this time, like within between now and September 5th, which is your animation deadline, if you would like to ask us any questions, or maybe when you're experimenting or creating your animations you run into some problems, just feel free to just use the comments feature here, and in your sections you can just tag us and we'll hop right over and help you with your submission if you need. But how do you actually make the submission is you will have to click on this Typeform link over here. We will paste that in the chat in a bit as well. So just click on the Typeform link over here, and it is going to ask you for all sorts of questions like what is your name. So just make sure that whatever name you want to appear on your certificate, you write that over here. In the past, we've had strange names like Pikachu and Bulbasaur, but remember that that's what's going to come on your certificate. So make sure you're writing the right name, and then you'll just have to fill in a few details here. If you like our workshop, give us a good rating. And this is the most important part, because this is what is going to allow us to see your animations. So what you need to do is, let us say that you've zeroed in and you finally decided what animation you would like to submit. So in my case, maybe I want to submit this. So all you have to do is, once you export this animation, you can just click on save to, and don't worry, you don't have to save it on the LottieFiles platform. You can just click on this button that says publish to community. So once you do that, it's going to open up this page over here. Here you can just add in a few more details. So let's say character animation. And one important step over here is just add whatever tags you want over here. You need to input at least 3, but among all the tags that you add, just make sure that you're also adding certification as one of them, because this will allow us to search for your animation. And maybe I'm just going to say Figma to Lottie. Then you can just put in a tool, and then I'm just going to say FOF Jaipur submission. Just add in whatever you want over here, and just click on publish animation. So once you publish your animation, once this process is done, you will get a URL at the end. So I'm just going to wait till that appears. I don't know why it's taking a little bit of time. Yeah. Okay. So once you get this, you just have to click on copy link, and this is the link that you will have to input over here. So once you do that, you can just click on OK, and you have a bunch of questions after this also, which you can answer. But even if you've, even if you forget how to do this, you have a screen recording right here on the Typeform. So you can just come back and refer to it if you have any questions about how to make the submission. And this is pretty much about it. This is how you can submit your animations to us, and we will evaluate these, and you should get your certificate if they're all okay. Yeah, I guess that's it. That is how you can make a submission.
Okay.
Oh, just one would be fine, but you can submit as many as you want, Abhimanyu.
I have more than one actually. So thank you, Abhimanyu. Mm, I guess Julie is saying
Guys,
something.
where to reach out?
You can just use the comments feature and tag us on the Figma file. And
Okay.
you can
Thank
always
you.
sign up
Great
on Lottie
workshop, guys.
community. Thank you, Aditya. Yes, let me just show you. Let me share my screen once again and show you what is accepted and what is not. So all of these animations that we did in the first part of the workshop, which included the single frame and the multiple frame animations, these are the ones, okay, so these are the ones that we won't be accepting, because these are very simple and these are like, your preset sort of an animation. What we will be accepting is these animations which are created using prototypes. So anything which is prototyped, and you can also create these so anything from here basically. So anything that has been prototyped, or if you want to go further, you can even create these kind of animations, the ones that Sanjib just showed, with all the components and all those nested scene like animations that we saw before. Those are the ones that will be acceptable. We have to create only in the final challenge page. Ideally yes, because you have space over there, but it doesn't matter, you can create wherever you want, as long as you publish it to community and share the link with us, we'll be okay. You can even create it in your own file if you want, but just make sure that you're sharing the URL with us. Thank you, Sanjay, for sharing the type form.
So anyone have more questions? By the way, seriously love the workshop. I also enjoyed very well and I learn a lot because there are some of points which I'm stuck on daily basis because I'm not very into like animation part because we are mostly working on development side. So we are just picking the SVG icons and just animate using the CSS or the some of the classes. So this is one of the thing which we are mostly using in our projects right now because one of our clients suggested first before I guess 1.5 years or 1 year ago. So he's saying that yeah, like you can use in the JSON file and directly you can use the library of LottieFiles and you can then make your animations and just use as in JSON. So after that like we help our designers to teach them that thing and right now they are using very well and doing so. Lotifile is one of the best thing which I want to collaborate and it's my first collaboration event so I'm very happy so you accepted that and you came because what I learn and I just want like everyone knows and use that. So yeah, so I just want to I just give like want 5 to 6 minutes of yours, and I want to like introduce with my team. So whoever is behind me, whoever supporting me. So one by one, you can introduce everyone. So yes, start Kanak.
Okay, so hello everyone, and again, that's a wrap to our LottieFiles event. Thank you so much, Nishi and Sanjeev, for hosting us really well and conducting such a great workshop that I could see people are reacting like it was a really great workshop, and I think it was honestly really great. animations were really cool. And also, Mao, thank you so much for joining us. And we literally loved you, and it was great having you here. Also, we will wrap this up, and if anyone on the participant sides have any question or any suggestions to LottieFiles and us, please feel free to share to us. And yeah, we are really hoping that you guys just go with the certifications and earn it and tag on your LinkedIn. Just do it. It's really interesting. So now we'll just have a quick screenshot and we will wrap this event really soon. I think we have a good number of participants. If you guys could on your cameras, if possible, we'll just take a quick screenshot and yeah, waiting for you guys. Like we'll take a 2 minute. Okay, so yeah, it's done. Thank you so much for joining, all of you. Thank you again, Nishi, Mao, and Sanjeev. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Bye bye. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for having us.
It's our pleasure, actually. Thank you, Mao. Thank you, Nishi. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sanjeev.
Bye bye. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye bye. Shraddha, Chirayu, Salman, Germany, Pooja, Vijay, Rajesh, Sahil, everyone. Bye bye. Take care. Great weekend. Yes, sir. Do you have any question? Actually, आपका अभी भी hands up है. कोई तो हंसा.
Anybody like from Chirayu, Aman, Yash, Hardik, Valvant, Bhagwan, Vaishnav? Do you guys have any questions or suggestions? Please feel free to write in the chat box. Since we have concluded the event, okay, then if it's done, we can wrap the event and we can end the event for all Ankush.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a great weekend, everyone. So,
Yeah. Bye
see
bye.
you.
We have
Bye.
a chat. Thank you. Great effort, guys. Thank you so much, Chirayu. Means a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Aman has a doubt actually.
उनको आई गेस हैंड्स डाउन नहीं हो रहा है लाइक वो उस पर मिल नहीं रहा उनको ऑप्शन
Aman, you can either send in a chat box if there is anything.